Good morning. Welcome to the School of Graduate Studies PhD White Coat Ceremony and MPH Pinning Ceremony. I am Dr. Letha Woods, Associate Dean for Professional Development in the School of Graduate Studies, and it is indeed my pleasure to welcome each of you here on this morning. At this time, we will invoke the presence of the Holy Spirit, and we will ask Reverend Robert Hall, Chaplain and Special Advisor to the President, to come and lead us in the invocation.
This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Let us go to God in prayer. Great God, we thank you for this day, a day that we have never seen before and a day that we will never see again. We thank you, O God, that you have brought us from near and far to celebrate in this moment, this monumental occasion that will set forth the path of these, your students. God, we thank you that you have given us this opportunity to have this white coat ceremony, a ceremony which is a demonstration of your love and your grace. So God, we ask that you help these students as they are receiving their white coats, but not just the receiving of their white coats, but taking up a mantle, the responsibility of caring for those you have called for them to help. Now, God, we ask that you activate our senses. Make us keenly aware of your hand at work in this moment. God, we ask that in this moment you allow us to create a historical marker in our time, in our life, that will give us an opportunity to remember in the times when we feel most stressed, to remember in the times that we feel most dismayed. God, we ask that you allow us to create a historical marker to remember this day, the day that we set forth on this journey of research, of medicine, and of worshiping you through the service of mankind. Now, God, we love you and we thank you. Give us what we stand in need of in this place so that we can give you all glory, honor, and praise. It is in Jesus' name that I pray. If you agree with this prayer, say amen.
It is my privilege and my honor to present to you Dr. James E.K. Hildreth, President and Chief Executive Officer for Meharry Medical College, and he will bring greetings in behalf of the college.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. It's my honor and privilege to greet our new students. On behalf of the board of the college and the faculty and staff, we welcome you here. So your acceptance into these programs reflects a great deal of achievement and hard work on your part, so congratulations. And I'm sure you think you know what you've gotten yourself into, but I bet you never guessed that was kind of like being all 7 of the dwarves, like Snow White and the 7 dwarves. What do you mean, Mr. President? In the beginning, you're dopey and bashful. Does that sound familiar? Then partway through, you're usually sick, sneezy. Then you're always tired, sleepy. And eventually you're irritable, grumpy. And then when you've made it through, you'll call yourself Doc, and at last you're happy. So you go through all 7 of the dwarves in doing your programs. Obtaining a MD, obtaining a PhD or a master's degree is a challenging process, but it's not an end unto itself. The project you choose or the thesis you produce is not nearly as important as the skills you're going to acquire, and expertise, and the habits of your discipline. These include critical thinking, problem solving, communication, and more importantly, working as part of a team. And in the world that we live in now, this last point has never been more important, because it's very clear that the grand challenges that face humankind are going to require people from different backgrounds and disciplines working together. In my world of immunology and HIV/AIDS in particular, we're 42 years into the fight against HIV, and just a few years ago we came to appreciate that researchers and physicians were not going to solve the problem on their own. It's been a devastating disease and problem for people of color, especially those in Africa. Therefore, it was only when epidemiologists, research scientists, physicians, medical behavioral scientists, medical economists, and faith leaders joined ranks to work on this that we finally made some traction against HIV. These are really exciting times to be starting what you're doing because large collaborations are happening and problems are being solved in ways that we've never seen before. I'd like to say that this is no less true for public health, where large data sets are being generated and those data sets are being used to find solutions to problems. We here at our college have recognized the importance of data science and bioinformatics, and that's why we started our new school. So I strongly encourage you that as you go through, you look for ways to learn how to collaborate with people across the college who are in different programs than your own. And this power of collaboration was never more in evidence than the last 4 years that we've been dealing with COVID-19. And it was only when we recognized that the global effort between disciplines was going to be necessary that we solved the problem. So this truly is an exciting time to be doing what you're doing. So let me encourage you to know that you're here because you belong here. It's going to be challenging, and there are going to be times when you think you just can't do it, but you can. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sitting in those seats. And more importantly, myself, the faculty and staff, we're all here for a singular purpose, to help you be successful. So welcome again to the Meharry diaspora. We're so excited to have you here. And whenever you need it, please ask for help. Because the one thing that usually gets students in trouble, lots of trouble, is needing help and not asking for it. That's why we're here. We're here because of you. So when you need help, please ask for it. And remember, think about those 7 dwarves when you're going through the things you're going through. But remember that in the end, you'll be dark and you'll be happy. Okay? So welcome, and thanks to all of you for being here this morning.
Thank you, President Hildreth, for those warm words of greeting. We have in our midst a very esteemed president, and I am pleased and honored that you serve in the capacity in which you serve. And to the students, I want you to know that he is your chief cheerleader. So when you see him, just walk up and talk to him. He's friendly. He's user-friendly. Let us move on in the program. So at this time, I want to explain that the white coat and MPH pinning ceremony is a ritual passage that we engage in each year at the start of the new year to demonstrate and mark the beginning of the students' commencement into their respective professional careers. In order to do this, we always seek to invite an established speaker to come and share with our students words of motivation and encouragement. And to introduce our speaker today is the Dean of the Graduate School, Dr. Mary Lindsay. Dr. Lindsay?
Thank you and good morning. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Robinson to you. Dr. Douglas Robinson is a native of Baltimore, Maryland, who graduated from Kenwood High School in the International Baccalaureate program. Attending this program allowed him to crystallize his interest in becoming a neurosurgeon through shadowing exposure at Sinai Hospital. Following that experience, he matriculated into the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, as a Meyerhoff Scholar with a major in biochemistry and molecular biology. He continued research throughout that experience, focused on neuroscience. He did research under the auspices of Dr. Richard Traub to investigate sex-related differences in the expression of the estrogen receptor throughout the neurocircuitry in the spinal cord. And then he became a graduate student and furthered his neuroscience background at the University of Pittsburgh under the leadership of Dr. Ida Teals to figure out the biochemical pathways involved in learning and memory using animal models. He then came to Meharry as an MD PhD student in neuroscience and pharmacology, and where he was mentored by Dr. Mocha and further enhanced our knowledge of the sex-related differences in the body's response to toxic stimuli mediated by mu and kappa opioid receptors in the spinal cord. So you can see consistently he figured out early on he wanted neuroscience, and he kept doing it. Everything he did, all the research experience, was focused on that one goal. So to fulfill his dream of becoming a surgeon scientist, he's completed his first year of general surgery residency at the University of Maryland Medical Center in Baltimore. After this, he's going to complete a residency in neurotrauma, to further understand the rehabilitation mechanism that is critical for patient recovery after spinal cord and traumatic brain injury. And so as hobbies, he likes to mentor inner city students and help them in STEAM fields. He also likes to scuba dive, which I think is pretty cool, read a bunch of books, and hang out with family and friends and traveling experiences. So it's my pleasure today to welcome Dr. Robinson to give us comments. Thank you.
Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for as dreams go, life is a barren field frozen with snow. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it drop like a raisin in the sun, fester like a sore, then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, crushed and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Or maybe it just sags like a heavy load. Or, does it explode? Today marks the initiation process of your coronation. Listen to the words I just said. Today marks the initiation process of your coronation. Most of you know coronation is defined as a public crowning of a sovereign king and queen. This became real to me in the summer of 1998, when I actually had the opportunity to go to Buckingham Palace. And for me, I had to study before going to England. I had to learn about Queen Elizabeth, the then Prince Charles III. For in the Buckingham Palace, I was reminded not to be amazed by the number of rooms in the palace, the opulent landscape, not to be actually at awe with the changing of the gods. Instead, it's important to know what was Prince Charles III learning while residing in the Buckingham Palace. What was Queen Elizabeth at the time teaching him? Because one day, it was said in 1998, he would live to be king. So there were some critical didactic mechanisms he had to undergo as a prince before he was crowned as king. For instance, he had to learn his executive, legislative, and even judicial persuasive power he had. He had to understand, secondly, how to reign on a global stage. Thirdly, he had to keep in mind he had a populace that he must fight for and keep their best interests in mind. All of these principles and practices he had to put in place critically while as a prince. Because as a prince, he had the opportunity to do kingly duties while Queen Elizabeth was still alive. Let that register with you. that before he was crowned, during his coronation, he was already operating in the role as a king. How does this apply to you today? You may not have a kingdom on a global stage, but you do have a sphere of influence. You do have individuals, family members, friends, mentees looking up to you. You, as well, may not have a Congress, courts, or judges that you need to meet with on a weekly basis. But you will have a committee that you have to persuade that you are ready to either defend your PhD or earn your MSPH. With this in mind, I want to emphasize how you, at this present time of your initiation, must understand what it means to wear a crown. So let us see. There is a cost to being a king and a queen. The word cost is spelled C-O-S-T. So for the C, credibility. No one listens to you if you are incredible. Regardless of how intelligent you are, how handsome or beautiful you may be, the gene that runs deep must be credibility. For without credibility, you will not be trusted. I'm reading now, you may have heard of Stephen Covey. He's the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If you haven't read the book, I would encourage you throughout your time here at Meharry, read a page a day. And by the time you graduate, you would have read the book. His son, Stephen R. Covey, wrote a book called The Speed of Trust. And he talked about, through his research, learning the 4 principles of credibility. Listen to the 4 principles of credibility. Do you have integrity? The simple definition of integrity: do you walk what you talk? When people hear you speak, can they trust your feet? The second principle of credibility is intent. What are your motives? People can discern if you have hidden agendas. Quickly, even with a smile, even with being well-groomed, people can look beyond the facade and see your intent. So at this stage of your career, enhance in having pure intent. In fact, that simply means wanting not just the best for you, but the best for your neighbor. The third principle of credibility is capabilities. People want to know you have the ability, the skill, and the talent to accomplish what you're setting out to achieve. So every year, you must enhance your capabilities. Every year, you must actually channel your talents into a focused laser beam so you can accomplish your dream. The fourth principle of credibility: first one was integrity, second, intent, third, capabilities, the fourth, do you produce results? You must produce. Without question, you have to produce. Imagine if you had the first 3, but you were not productive. you had integrity, you had intent, you had the skill and the talent, the capabilities, but you did not produce results. People measure who you are by the results you produce. The O in cost is opportunity. I want you to understand now that there will be opportunities every year that will be presented to you simply because you are a Meharryan. And the question is, will you rise to the task and accept the opportunity? The key is this: there will be opportunities that you cannot accomplish on your own. And the opportunities are going to frighten you because you have never done them before. Will you allow fear to shackle you into the shame, into the abyss of not accomplishing what's inside of you? Or will you rise to the platform and grasp the opportunity with the support of mentors? The S in cost is strength. Every day, you need renewed strength. I remember being in your seats not too long ago. I just graduated in 2019. So I understand that even now, 80% of you are tired, and the school year just began. I know it. Even without you saying it, I can feel it. Because tiredness gives off an energy. And I can tell, even with your smiles, your hair looks good, your makeup looks wonderful, but I can tell you're tired. And in your mind, the question is, if I'm tired now, how can I make it to December? I get it. The feeling is relevant, but I want you to understand how you renew your strength, how you shed off the fatigue, is by having someone you can confide into. Someone you can trust that will not speak down to you, but who will uplift you. Someone who will look in you, and see the best. So the one I confide into, oftentimes, were my parents. Oftentimes, Dr. Sukbi Moka. Oftentimes, Dr. James Hildreth. And I need you to know you have someone you can confide into. The last letter in cost is T, tenacity. You have to be tenacious. That simply means grit. That even when you want to give up, you look yourself in the mirror and say, the fight must go on. Even when you feel like you've given your all, and your all seems insufficient, tenacity means you learn how to garner more gifts, more talents, more skills, so that you are equipped to fight again. The cost of wearing the crown. Now, let me give you the second principle. You have to be able to revolutionize your paradigm. What do I mean by revolutionize your paradigm? A paradigm is a mental shift. Do you not know that Doug McMillon, not Douglas Robinson, but Doug McMillon, the CEO of Walmart, is changing the landscape of Walmart across the U.S. In 3 years, 75% of all warehouses for Walmart will be ran by AI. Let me say that again. And for those of you, when you hear numbers like 75%, the next number I'm going to say is 65%. When you hear these numbers, research these numbers. That's how hungry you should be. 75% of Walmart warehouses in the next 3 years will be transformed to be ran by simply AI. The stores, Walmart, that we go to, Charlotte Road, I lived in Bellevue when I was a student, so Charlotte Road, that Walmart, in 3 years, 65% of all Walmarts will be ran by AI. 65%. If Doug McMillon is doing this now, consider what Jeff Bezos is doing for Amazon. Some of you may be from Texas. There's a McDonald's not too far from Dallas, Texas, that is ran simply by AI. So the drive-through, AI. You get your food, AI. You pay, AI. Revolutionize your paradigm. How does this apply to you? Doug McMillon is a CEO. Jeff Bezos is a CEO. So are you. You are the CEO of you. What do you need to change in your mental construct? In the next 2 to 3 years, what will be different about you? For if you are the same in 2026 as you are now, the term that will be used is that you are irrelevant. And what is said about someone that's irrelevant? They become obsolete. And as a Meharryian, you cannot become obsolete. You are relevant. So I challenge you today to look deep inside and think about your inner circle. Because the way you construct paradigms is based on the 5 closest people around you. So if your 5 closest people, family members, friends, are not shift changers, I would challenge you to reconsider those 5 people. They may not be bad people, but they may not be the 5 you need in your inner circle. Costs of wearing a crown. You need to be able to revolutionize your paradigm. You also need to be open to innovation and research. You must add to the literary canon. Let me say that again. There's a host of literature in public health, epidemiology, biomedical science. You must add to it. When I was a graduate student in Dr. Sukbi Mocha's lab, he challenged me to add to the field of pain research. There is a mark you must make, and how you make your mark is by adding to the research literature. People will know you by researching you. They will be able to understand what you stand for by the research you produce. How are you changing the field of epidemiology? How are you changing the landscape of biomedical research? What new insight are you adding that shifts the way people are thinking about public health? Stay open to innovation and research. The W in wearing your crown is wealth. You are as wealthy as healthy you are. Let me say that again. Your wealth is a measure of your health. Poor health, poor wealth. So the measure of your wealth is equated to your health. There are 5 areas of health. You need to be socially aligned with the right people. You need to be aligned with people who are pushing you to be your best every day. There are 365 days out of the year, and some of those days you're not going to want to give your best. You need to be aligned with people who will challenge you to give your best even when you don't feel like it. Then you need to be mentally sound. You need to be astute where you are always reading a book, an article that challenges you. The TV is good within its place, but while you are a Meharian, you should watch less TV. Watch less YouTube videos. Unless the videos are showing you how to do surgery for your research, unless the videos are showing you how to do stat when you're taking your stat class, you should be actually in a book, reading an article, reading a book that challenges you. I've already mentioned The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Another book, The Speed of Trust. When you are reading, your mind is strengthened, mentally sound. Next, I need you to be emotionally established. What does it mean to be emotionally established? You're not a ship tossed to and fro in the wave of the sea. You know some people that are just moved by the current of the day? If the day is dreary, they're dreary. If it's sunny, they're happy. They shift with the motions of the day. I need for you to have an anchor so that regardless of the environment around you, this is what I was told as a Meharian. One of the nurses in family medicine told me, always bring your own oasis. That simply means you do not depend on the environment around you to dictate your emotions. For if you allow your environment to dictate your emotional status, you become a peasant to your environment. Is that making sense to you? I need for you then, if you're going to be socially aligned with the right people, if you're going to be mentally sound, emotionally established, I need you to be financially rooted. I hope, as I was a student here at Meharry, we were giving courses on actual finances. At the end of the day, on a Wednesday, we will meet in the library and the LRC, in the lecture hall, and a husband and wife will give lecture on investment, life insurance, disability insurance, and believe it or not, it's best that you learn it now rather than later. Because how you actually utilize your money now actually determines how you're going to use your money when you graduate from Meharry. So it's important now that you learn how to invest. It's important now that you learn the actual critical need for life insurance. Because life insurance isn't for the dead, it's truly for the living. And yes, as a student, you do have disability insurance, But there's something about having your own disability insurance. I want to encourage you to think about investment. Because when you invest in yourself, you approach your peers, your family members, your friends differently. Because you have taken ownership, CEO, kingship, queenship of yourself. Next, I need you to be physically active. Today, this morning, before I was picked up from the Hampton Inn by Dr. Woods, I ran 6 miles. And I'm not encouraging any of you to run 6 miles every day. But what I am encouraging you to do is stay active. If that means parking on the 5th floor in the garage and walking to the West Basic Science Building. If that means when you shop at Walmart, while it's not AI Rand, you park far and walk inside. Whatever your schedule permits, I need you to do it. I admire Dr. Mocha. Every week when I was his student, he made time to go to the gym. And that encouraged me that as a student, I could not be a member of his lab and not go to the gym. So for all of you in this ballroom, make time to be active physically. Because believe it or not, if you do not take charge of your physical body, in the next 3 to 5 years, you will look different. And the way you look will not please you. Are you getting what I'm saying? Okay. Now, the very last thing is the N for crown. I need you to never relinquish the divine aspirations that are inside of you. Cost, C. Revolutionize, R. O, stay open to innovation and research. W, your wealth is tied to your physical health. And then I need you to have the N, never relinquish the divine aspirations inside of you. What do I mean by divine aspirations? There's a call inside of you that's greater than you. All of you, regardless of your upbringing, regardless of your background, have an inner voice that you hear every day. And for most of you, that inner voice is what permitted you to be here. Even as an undergrad, when you questioned if you would be accepted into a graduate program, that inner voice said apply anyway. That same inner voice, never forsake. Let me share with you, the less you listen to the inner voice, the more your hearing becomes dull. The more you listen to the inner voice, the more acute your hearing becomes. The inner voice will challenge you to do things you cannot do within your own strength. All of you have a measure of internal fortitude. But there will be some challenges you're going to face while you are a Meharryan that are greater than your internal fortitude. That means within your own strength, you would fail. That means within your own strength, you are not capable to overcome that challenge. But that's okay. That's why it's called graduate school. Because the strength of an undergrad needs to rise to the level of a graduate of Meharry Medical College. That means in order to not relinquish that divine inspiration, you have to remind yourself daily, I have a purpose. And my purpose is beyond the degree. My purpose is tied to what I'm going to do with my degree. If you understand this, your fight for your degree will all then make even more. The opportunity to be here will never be taken for granted. For you will find you being a student at Meharry a gift and a treasure. That means that divine aspiration is an impetus and a driving force. It's like wind against your back and sun at your horizon. As Zora Neale Hurston said, you actually have the fortitude gradually, day by day, to rise to the pinnacle of the mountain. As I conclude, I need you to understand that I'm fully aware and cognizant that even for parents, for family members who are here, they came as a support system for you. But even through my conversation with you, they too have been inspired. For even by listening to the words of encouragement and motivation I gave you, they too are encouraged. They too are reminded that they must pursue their dreams and their goals. For oftentimes, the older we get, the more we begin to question, am I too old to fulfill my dream? My conversation to you and to your loved ones who are here today, you're not too old to fulfill your dream. In fact, your measure of maturity now is what you needed as a platform for you to accomplish your dreams and goals. Lastly, I want you to always remember, shatter the limitations that tries to bind you to the person you were yesterday. I didn't pause because I was thinking of words. I paused because, as a pregnant pause, I want you to give that thought a chance to marinate inside of you. Never allow the success of your yesterday to be your shackle of your today. The relevancy that you have now is based on what you plan to do in your today in preparation for your tomorrow. So for family members, friends who are here, students who will have your white coat donned and your pen placed, today marks the initiation process of your coronation. The coronation, if you gathered anything that I said, you understood the coronation is just a matter of formality. You are a king, you are a queen before the day becomes. So I encourage you, in my final thought, final sentence, begin now living as a king. Begin now living as a queen, and rise to wear your crown. Thank you.
Let's give Dr. Robinson a round of applause. I don't know about you, but I feel a little inspired this morning. I've decided that I am going to bring my own oasis to the table, right? And so I hope you are as well. At this time, we will move forward with the presentation of white coats, and I invite the faculty in the School of Graduate Studies to prepare as we call forth the names of the PhD students. Dr. Hildreth will also solicit your support as well. Thank you. Chanel Harris. Dr. Mocha. Hey, I want you guys to hear what she said. There are those manners. Thank you. Marcus Jackson. We'll ask Dr. Hildreth if he will don your coat. Thank you, Dr. Hildreth. Thank you. Kayla Jeff. Your coat will be donned by Dr. Aramandala Ramesh. All right, thank you so much to the faculty. At this time, we'll invite the faculty in the public health program to come forward as we prepare to pin the students in the MPH program. We will begin with Octavia Ellsworth. Kayla Vera Albritton. Madison Barber. Karan Beecham. Kiana Bradford. Lauren Bradley. Amel Brown. Susmita Dundee. Asal Fadil. Courtney Felder. Aaliyah Kelso. Please forgive me if I should mispronounce this. Monterrey Lanise Salam? Was that close enough? Okay, good deal. Kazuri Poli. Anthony Prophet. Tia Thomas. Tia Watts. I'd like to take a point of personal privilege and acknowledge the faculty from the School of Graduate Studies. Would you guys please stand that we might acknowledge you? I'd like to take time to acknowledge Dr. Samuel Adunia, Chair of the Department of Biochemistry, Cancer Biology, Neuroscience, and Pharmacology. Dr. C.V. Dash, Chair of the Department of Microbiology, Immunology, Pharmacology, and Physiology. And our recent established interim chair of the Department of Biomedical Sciences, Dr. Amos Sekwe. Thank you guys for being present with us today. At this time, I invite the the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, Dr. LaMonica Stewart, to come and lead the students in the oath of commitment.
All right, I'm going to ask all of our first-year students who are already standing to read along with me the Oath of Commitment, which is on the back page of the program. And we'll start now. On this day, I solemnly swear to pursue excellence in my studies and in my work, listen to and respect my teachers, apply the highest standards of ethics in my research, conduct myself at all times with integrity, respect, and dignity, be kind, helpful, and cooperative to my colleagues, be an example for the next generation of graduate students, protect the college's property and its physical structure, nurture my dreams, and keep sight of my goals in times of adversity. Represent Meharry Medical College well and be an ambassador for the institution. Aspire for the benefit of mankind as a result of my work. Thank you so much. You may be seated.
At this time, let's give our students a round of applause. You made it. First week of school, you made it. All right, at this time, we'd like to invite the chair of the Department of Public Health in the School of Graduate Studies, Dr. Leah Alexander, to give closing remarks, followed by Dr. Mary Lindsay, Dean of the School of Graduate Studies.
So, welcome to Meharry, everybody. We are super excited to have you join our family. This is a wonderful time of the year for us because we love this journey that you're on of becoming what we call Meharry Made. So I often say every year, I'm not Meharry Made per se because I did not attend Meharry, but my mother did. So she received a PhD in microbiology from Meharry. I spent a lot of my time ripping and running up and down the hallways of West Basic. And what I remember most is that her classmates became like aunts and uncles to me because Meharry is a family. My mother was a single mother. I don't even really think that I understood that because there was just always so much support, around me and my sister at the time. So, what do we know about families? Families aren't perfect. Right? We're well-intentioned and we're supportive, but we aren't perfect. But what I can guarantee you, and I know that I speak on behalf of the faculty and the administration and staff, is that you will not find a more supportive group of people that are committed to your success. Because when you win, we all win. And so you've heard wonderful advice today. Ask if you need something, and just trust that we are here to support you and to ensure that you reach your career goals. So thank you to Dr. Robinson. He already said everything pretty much that's on my list, but I do have some advice, so I'm going to share it. My students would probably say, like, Dr. A's list, so here it is. Check your email. That's the first thing. Check your email. Meharrians communicate via email. And so it's going to be important. You all have a Meharry email. It's going to be important that you establish, that pace for how you check it. I already know Dr. Woods has sent an email about scholarships. You heard from anybody yet?
Yes, I have.
Oh, good. Okay, so you look for that email about scholarships. I've sent an email for a wonderful opportunity for you to begin to show service to the college. It's a wonderful opportunity to volunteer with an event that's happening in a couple of weeks. So check your email. That's going to be very important. Number 2, and Dr. Robinson has talked about this, but be excellent, energized, engaged. I didn't say perfect. Trying to be perfect gets us in trouble, but we can all commit to do our best. Faculty commits to do their best. You all commit to do your best. Prepare before you come to class. If you prepare before you come to class, that gives you the space to try to come in with questions that you think your faculty is not going to be able to answer because you've thought ahead of time. I love that. I love to say, I never thought about that. Let me go. Let's revisit this next week. Let me go and see. So prepare, but you have to bring that energy and always do your best. The third thing is don't tell yourself no. As researchers, we're writing grants, we're submitting papers, we're getting no's all the time, right? But the yeses, when we get yeses, those are career changing. Those can be life changing. But if we don't apply, if we don't show up, if we don't submit an application, even though we might not have everything that they say that we need to have, let the people tell you no. No's will come, but you shake them off and you keep moving. So never tell yourself no. And then the last thing, it's not my words, but the dean who hired me, which seems like a lifetime ago, used to always tell students this, and I think it's so important. So pray like you don't study, and study like you don't pray. If you do those things, you'll be fine. So again, welcome to Meharry, and we're really glad to have you here.
I think everyone has said wonderful words, and I think all of this wisdom, if you can remember 10% of it, you're going to be fine. So MPH students, two years from now, PhD students 4 to 5 years from now, you'll be walking across that stage at graduation. I'll be standing there with that diploma ready to shake your hand and hand it to you. When you get to that stage, I want you to know fully that you have prepared yourself for your future and the excellence that we're expecting from you. All of you are leaders. All of you are going to be Meharry made. You're Meharrians right now. It comes with rights and responsibilities. As Dean of the School of Graduate Studies, I commit to you all the resources of our school to work hand in hand with you to prepare you for your future. I just ask you to commit back the responsibility to take charge of that. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our program participants. A big special thank you to Dr. Robinson, who answered immediately when I called. So thank you so much. Thank you, President Hildreth. You didn't think it robbery to be here to celebrate with our students. Students, please take note of this. Not all presidents take time to do this, but this one does. He's always there supporting the students. So let's just acknowledge him with a round of applause as well. Lastly, let's acknowledge yourselves. Like I said, you made it through 1 week. You didn't think you could, but here you sit. With that, this brings our program to a close. We will have the students recess out. We invite each of you to join us across the street in West Basic Sciences in the atrium for breakfast. We'd love to meet and talk with each of you. Thank you so much for coming. And students, don't forget your photo.